So I went in and watched the first episode of Scavengers Reign without knowing absolutely anything about it. I have no idea who made it, I didn't know what its style or synopsis were, I only saw a post on Instagram saying it was a new sci-fi animated series, which is supposedly really remarkable, and I was like, hey, I'm usually not a random person, but this time I'm gonna take a chance, because my life's kinda shit, and I'm in a depression again. What better thing to bring my spirits up than a randomly chosen show I don't know anything about that actually has the potential of not fucking disappointing me like most any other shows I've seen in recent years. So I just saw the first episode a few minutes ago, and what do I think? Oh my god, it's so beautiful and thought-provoking, and it's exactly what I needed right now. Whenever life trips me over and I fall, nothing better to pick me up than an amazing piece of art. And Scavengers Reign episode 1 was exactly that. And I'm not exaggerating, it hypnotized me literally in its first couple of minutes. How, you might ask? The intro. That fucking amazing intro. Spoilers if you haven't seen it, you might want to switch the channel. The overall story of this show is some cargo ship or something having crashed on an alien planet that happens to be teeming with life, among which the surviving crew of the fallen ship is trying to survive. At first sight, that sounds pretty standard as a story, and it is, but the thing I want to highlight here is the very intro. It's such a piece of art that I just can't describe it with enough praise. The intro features the actual moment of the ship crashing into the planet. In itself, that is a horrible event of complete chaos, death, and destruction, but at the same time, the music that accompanies the crashing scene is the most serene and heavenly piano piece that you otherwise would have heard on some cheesy family drama on the Hallmark Channel like 20 years ago. The difference is, when you hear the music on Hallmark, it's cheesy because it accompanies domestic drama. But when you hear it in this scene, it strikes your neurons as something that does not conventionally fit into place. And yet it is exactly it being such a weird misfit that burns the dramatic element of the moment in your consciousness even deeper. You're witnessing metal falling apart, fire blowing out, corpses floating in a vacuum, and yet the music eases your senses like a Gregorian chant. It's as if you're a little kid and Mary Poppins is caressing you using a knife. And I love the contrast of this mix of terror and beauty. With that damn intro, I was completely sold. That is exactly the kind of drama that makes me artistically horny. Now for the rest of the stuff, what can I say? I loved most everything. The art style is absolutely wonderful, although it needs to be stated that for some reason it is very Rick and Morty-esque. I've no idea if maybe the same people made the two shows, but apparently the art styles are very similar, as well as their perception of what weird alien life would look like and behave like. There's lots of gooey creatures with dumb-looking yet weirdly expressive eyes, who make weird noises and also have extremely weird biological features. There's animals producing lamps or batteries of sorts. There's animals who can fuck with you psychedelically. There's animals you can use as scuba diving masks. All sorts of creatures, all reminding me of that stupid fucking Columbus, which in itself isn't necessarily bad. I used to love Rick and Morty a lot until it became too full of itself and spiraled down into its self-flating, fanboy ass-kissing, drunk and retarded ideology of nihilism. The moment I saw the popular wave of morons with Rick t-shirts going around burping and imitating him, it was all over for me. Rick and Morty had fallen in on itself, and instead of propagating its initial idea of actually battling nihilism and finding your own purpose in the chaos of the universe, it started propagating just sheer nihilism. And low IQ idiots of course followed along, in much the same way teenage Logan Paul fans find it awesome to be a stupid ass on purpose. Which was the original concept of Rick and Morty in the first place. Fight against stupidity at all costs, and don't be a moron. Anyway, my point is, Rick and Morty became soulless shit, and because of that, the similar art style in Scavengers Reign kind of threw me off a bit too, but I overcame that fast enough, because despite the similarities, Scavenger makes its own story convincingly. It lays out the concept of gooey alien life pretty well. I wouldn't say it's over the top, I also wouldn't say it's realistic, because who the fuck would know what alien life would actually be like? For all we know, somewhere in the universe there might be organisms that actually live in the inner layers of stars, or in gas giants, or in a vacuum. Nothing is out of the picture. With this in mind, you can even say that the alien life in Scavengers Reign is actually pretty Earth-centric and cheesy in its concept. The animals are like a grosser version of the animal life in Avatar. They're quote-unquote realistic as per Earth standards. So far so good. And the show also touches upon contagious airborne mushroom viruses in the style of The Last of Us, and I'll just say, this show, Scavengers, did it way better in a single episode. There's also something that needs to be stated about the depiction of alien life in Scavengers Reign as opposed to the element of death in alien life. Yeah, this alien life looks fascinating, but it also looks disgusting and scary because, spoiler alert, biology is disgusting and scary, and death is literally the most horrible experience we can observe or suffer ourselves. If you depict alien life without depicting alien death, I'd never really perceive you realistically. And I'm talking to you, Avatar, you bleached and romanticized alien Pocahontas crap. In Scavengers' Reign, we see a lot of death and rotting corpses, and yeah, they're disgusting, but much like the intro, they disgust you in a beautiful way. We're literally given the symbolism of death and life being interconnected within this ever-rotating wheel by being shown an animal's corpse, upon which there's a beautiful flower blooming. Now, a little problem I have with the whole thing is, I guess, how familiar the surviving crew are already with all of the alien life. They've been on the planet for like, what, 2 months or something? I think that's what one of them said. And they already know how to use some animals as oxygen masks. They already know exactly how to harvest resources from these animals, how to fight them off and stuff. I would say that's just a little bit unrealistic, but I kinda don't care. This is the kind of plot hole that I'm willing to grant to a show if all the rest is great, which in this case, it most definitely was. I can definitely say I'm looking forward to seeing the next episode. This show has won me over, for now, and I hope it stays this way.